Aubrey Collins, 3 years married. One uninvited battle. Peonies, really? Barbara said as she ran her finger across the soft pink petals on one of the centerpieces. Such a shame. They'll be drooping before dinner. I told Jason you should have gone with orchids instead. I tightened my grip on the clipboard I was holding and forced a polite smile. Peonies are my favorite. They're in season right now, so they're fresh. Barbara shrugged, her lips curving into a smirk. Well, it's your party. She paused. Although, I still think hosting it at the country club would have been a better idea than having it in your backyard. We wanted something personal, I replied calmly. Something that reflects us. Barbara tilted her head slightly, giving me one of her signature looks. Yes, well, you've always liked doing things your own way. My name is Aubrey Collins. I'm 29 years old, and today is my 3rd wedding anniversary with my husband, Jason. For the past 6 months, I've been pouring my heart into planning this garden party at our home in Lexington, Kentucky. I picked out everything, the food, the drinks, the music, even the fairy lights. I wanted it to be perfect, a reflection of our love and the life we've built together. But one thing has made the planning harder than it needed to be: my mother-in-law, Barbara Collins. She insisted on showing up hours early to help, but Barbara's idea of helping was more about criticizing everything I did. Every flower, every tablecloth, every choice I made, she had something to say. I'm surprised you didn't ask for my opinion on the menu, she added, flipping through the catering list I had neatly put together. Jason always loved my beef Wellington. He used to ask for it every year on his birthday. This menu focuses on local dishes, I explained. Again, Jason approved all of it. Barbara gave a dismissive wave. He's too polite, hates confrontation. That's why you end up making all the decisions. I checked the time, trying not to show my frustration. Just over 2 hours until guests arrived. I need to finish setting up the bar and take my medication before I get dressed. Barbara raised an eyebrow. Ah yes, your condition. Her voice was dripping with doubt. Must be such a burden for Jason. I didn't say another word. I just turned and walked into the kitchen, doing my best to stay calm. On the counter was the bottle of pills I had left there that morning. My medication is vital. I live with a serious autoimmune condition, and skipping even one dose can mess up my whole body, especially today, when I was already stressed. But something didn't feel right when I picked up the bottle. It felt heavier, it rattled differently. I opened it and froze. Inside were white, round pills, completely different from the oval ones I normally take. I poured some onto a napkin and looked closer. They weren't my medication. They were sugar pills. Someone had replaced my real medicine, on purpose. And I knew exactly who had been in my house all day. The same woman who had always treated my health issues like they were just an excuse. The same woman who acted like I didn't deserve her son. Barbara. I remembered how Jason and I met 4 years ago. It was at a charity fundraiser. I was running the event, and he was there as part of his architecture firm. We hit it off talking about old buildings and our shared love of Kentucky bourbon. 3 months later, we were practically inseparable. A year later, we got married in a beautiful, quiet ceremony at a vineyard. Barbara never liked me. From day one, she had made it clear she had someone else in mind for Jason. Dr. Heather Whitfield, the daughter of her friend, a successful surgeon from a respectable family. Compared to her, my job as an event coordinator seemed like a joke to Barbara. She plans parties, she once said when she thought I couldn't hear. That's not a real career. When Jason proposed, Barbara stepped up her attacks. She questioned my health, accused me of faking symptoms for attention. She made food with shellfish, even though I'm allergic. She constantly brought up Jason's ex-girlfriends, especially the ones with high-status jobs. But through all of it, Jason stood by me. He encouraged my business, celebrated with me when I landed big clients, and I supported him as he rose in his firm. We bought a historic home and turned it into something beautiful. We were happy. Barbara hated that too. Every time she visited, she picked apart our choices, the colors, the decor, everything. This doesn't feel like a Collins home, she said, too modern, too temporary. Jason always brushed off her comments. She doesn't mean it, he'd say, she's just old-fashioned. But now, I wasn't sure if he saw the truth. For this anniversary party, I tried to offer peace. I put her favorite flowers in the bathroom, stocked the bar with the bourbon she liked, gave her a table with the best view in the garden. I even invited her early, thinking maybe, just maybe, she'd feel included. But she didn't come early to help. She came to sabotage. Thankfully, I always carry a backup dose of my medication in my purse. I took it quickly, but I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal. Should I confront her now? Should I tell Jason? Should I cancel the whole party? No. That would give Barbara what she wanted. I was going to move forward with the party, but I would be watching her closely. After I got dressed, I stood in front of the mirror. My emerald green dress hugged my frame, and my hair was pinned up neatly. I looked calm, confident. If my smile seemed a bit tight, no one would notice. Downstairs, everything was coming together. The caterers were plating appetizers. The bartender was lining up glasses. The fairy lights glowed softly in the fading sunlight. It was beautiful. I found Barbara in the dining area, moving place cards I had arranged so carefully. I moved the Hendersons closer to us, she said. They're practically family, unlike some of those work friends of yours. The seating was set for a reason, I said calmly. Jason and I planned it together. She looked up at me with a familiar smug expression. Oh, he won't mind. He always liked Catherine Henderson anyway. They dated, you know. Yes, I knew. She reminded me every month. I found something earlier, I said, my voice steady. Someone switched out my medication. Her expression didn't change, but I saw a faint blush rise on her neck. Jason once told me that was her reaction when she was caught. How careless of you, she said smoothly. Autoimmune diseases can affect memory, can't they? Her cruelty stunned me. This wasn't just rude, this was dangerous. Why do you hate me so much? I asked before I could stop myself. Barbara didn't hesitate. I don't hate you, I just know you're not the right person for my son. One day, he'll see that too. We've been happily married for 3 years. 3 years? She laughed softly. That's nothing. Jason needs someone who makes his life easier, not harder. She turned back to the place cards like I wasn't even there. And that's when I saw it clearly. Barbara wasn't just overbearing. She wanted to break us. She had tried to make me sick on purpose. She had hoped it would destroy our marriage. She wanted me gone. Suddenly, Jason's voice called out from the hallway. Hey, the florist just dropped off the extra greenery. Where should I put it? Barbara's whole demeanor changed in a blink. In the kitchen, sweetheart, she said sweetly. Everything's coming together beautifully. She walked past me with a fake smile, but her eyes said it all. This wasn't over. But I wasn't backing down. Jason came into the dining area and smiled. You look amazing. Everything okay? You seem a little tense. I smiled back, just enough to hide the storm building inside me, just a little pre-party stress. But deep down, I was already planning. Barbara thought she was playing a game. She didn't realize I'd already decided to win. Jason, can you go check if the bartender has enough ice? I asked as calmly as I could. I need to double-check something with the caterer real quick. As soon as he left for the backyard, I slipped away toward the guest bathroom where Barbara had left her massive purse earlier. My heart pounded in my chest, but I kept my movements smooth and quiet. I paused in front of the door for just a second, asking myself if I was really going to do this, but I already knew the answer. Inside, the purse was exactly where she'd left it, perched neatly on the counter like it was guarding something. I opened it gently, careful not to disturb anything too much. It didn't take long to find what I was looking for. Tucked deep into a side pocket were my original prescription pills, the ones that had mysteriously gone missing a few days ago. I pulled out my phone and took a photo as fast as I could, hands shaking slightly. Then I placed everything back precisely where it had been, zipped the purse closed, and left the bathroom. I rejoined the party prep with a forced smile, keeping myself busy while keeping one eye on Barbara. She moved around the bar area with a sense of purpose, talking to the bartender longer than necessary. She pointed at specific bottles and even rearranged a few on the counter. Something about it made my skin crawl. I walked up to the bartender after she left, trying to sound casual. My mother-in-law can be a little intense, I said with a chuckle. What was she talking about just now? He smirked, shaking his head. She was asking about the champagne, wanted to make sure we were serving the French brand she brought, not the regular stuff. She said she has the refined palate in the family. That sounded just like Barbara. She had insisted on supplying her own champagne for the toasts, Dom Perignon, a very specific vintage. I hadn't argued. Letting her have that win made everything else easier, or so I thought. Where did she have you put it? I asked. In the wine cooler, On the left, she put a piece of blue tape on it to mark it, said it was only for her and a few special guests. My unease grew. When he turned to help someone else, I quickly opened the wine cooler. There it was, her champagne bottle, just as he'd said, marked with a neat strip of blue tape on the bottom. I didn't open it, but I took a mental snapshot. I would keep an eye on that bottle tonight. By 7 o'clock, the guests started arriving. Laughter and chatter filled the backyard. Lights twinkled in the trees. Soft music floated through the air, and the whole place looked like something out of a magazine. I moved around the crowd, smiling, greeting people, but my attention stayed fixed on Barbara. She stood by the koi pond like it was her personal throne, telling charming stories about Jason's childhood, polished stories, carefully designed to make her look like the hero. I overheard her speaking to Jason's boss at one point. Oh, the Henderson girl would have been the more conventional choice. Of course, she just became head of neurosurgery at Johns Hopkins, but Jason always did fall for the creative types. I clenched my jaw and walked away, taking the bait would only feed her. Later, Barbara found her way into the kitchen under the pretense of helping. She leaned in close and said quietly, "I noticed you took your medication after all. How lucky you had some extras." "I always keep backups," I said smoothly. "My condition isn't something I can afford to be careless with." She smiled tightly. "Yes, your condition, so convenient, doesn't seem to slow you down when there's attention to be had." I didn't respond. "If it's all too much," she added sweetly, "no one would blame you for lying down. I can take care of hosting." I knew what she was doing, trying to edge me out, make me look weak. "I feel perfectly fine," I said, matching her smile, "but thank you for your concern." Just then, Jason walked in. Barbara turned to him with a new voice, full of cheer. "Everything looks beautiful, darling. I told Aubrey how lovely it all is. Of course, I've offered to step in if she's feeling overwhelmed." Jason laughed and wrapped his arm around me. "Aubrey doesn't get overwhelmed. She's the best planner in Lexington." Barbara's smile didn't reach her eyes. We walked out to begin seating the guests for dinner. Jason leaned down and whispered, "Everything okay?" I nodded, just Barbara being Barbara. Dinner went well, for a while. Everyone was enjoying the food, laughing, and complimenting the setup. I began to think maybe the worst was behind us. Maybe Barbara's games had ended with the pill swap. Then I saw her again, speaking to the bartender. He looked confused but nodded and went straight to the wine cooler. I followed, just in time to see him lifting Barbara's marked bottle. "Is something wrong?" I asked casually. "Not at all," he replied. "Mrs. Collins said the champagne needed to breathe before the toast." "I'll take care of that," I said quickly. "We've got a bit of time, and I also need to go over the dessert pairings with you." Once he stepped away, I picked up the bottle. It looked the same. It smelled normal, but something inside me said, "Don't trust it." Without hesitating, I swapped her bottle for an identical one from our own collection. Hers, marked with blue tape, was safely stashed aside. If I was wrong, no harm done. If I was right. I returned to the table as the plates were cleared. Across the garden, Barbara watched me closely, then raised her water glass like a private toast, a silent challenge. Jason stood for the toast, lifting his glass, "To my incredible wife, who makes every day feel like a new adventure." Everyone smiled, clinked glasses, and sipped. Barbara took a long drink, eyes locked on mine. Then it happened. Jason's college roommate, Ben, stood up suddenly. I'm so sorry. I need to." He rushed off, hand over his stomach. Two more guests at Barbara's end followed quickly, clutching their stomachs, faces pale. All of them had drunk the regular champagne, not Barbara's, not mine. Barbara's smile faded. She took another sip from her glass, confused when nothing happened. She looked disappointed. "Is everything all right?" I asked, keeping my tone light. "Perfectly fine," she said, gripping her glass too tightly. Then I knew. She hadn't poisoned her champagne, she'd tampered with the one meant for everyone else. Her plan had backfired. It hit her own special guests first. And the bottle she'd wanted opened, the one she marked, who knew what was in that? Barbara had been willing to hurt innocent people, to destroy our anniversary night, to make me look incompetent, or worse. She had planned every step of this, but I had seen it coming. And now, I saw something else too, in her eyes, behind the fake smile, hatred, pure and terrifying. She didn't just want me gone. She wanted me ruined. And in that moment, I made a promise to myself, this was going to end, not just for tonight, but for good. I would not let her win.